Hello and welcome. This is my wife, Mary, and I'm Ed, and we're Branch Davidian Seventh-Day Adventist. We're excited you're joining us today. We present or expound on a principle or belief related to the SDA Sabbath School Quarterly each week. This week's lesson is on the worship of God, the Creator. As the lesson points out, the prophets have quite a lot to say on behalf of God about what worship is and what it isn't, about what it was supposed to be and about what it has become. Humanity has not really changed that much in regard to worship over the millennia. The pitfalls the ancient Israelites fell into are the same pitfalls we fall into today. We must learn from their mistakes. Their mistakes must become our stepping stones of escape from this world of sin and selfishness.
The Sabbath School lesson beautifully calls attention to the fact that true worship has nothing to do with a form of religion. As Isaiah 58 teaches, true worship is to care for one another and to love one another, even our enemies. Isaiah 58 says, "Is this not the fast that I have chosen, to loose the bonds of wickedness, to undo the heavy burdens, to let the oppressed go free, that you may break every yoke? Is it not to share your bread with the hungry, and that you bring to your house the poor who are cast out? When you see the naked, that you cover him, and not hide yourself from your own flesh?"
What does it mean to loose the chains of injustice and untie the cords of the yoke, to set the oppressed free and break every yoke? Isn't this ultimately referring to bondage of sin?
That freedom from the bondage of sin is the message of justification by faith, which is the third angel's message in verity. Ellen White said, "Several have written to me, inquiring if the message of justification by faith is the third angel's message, and I have answered, it is the third angel's message in verity."
Justification by faith is indeed a message of freedom from the chains of injustice and the cords of the yoke of oppression. Sin holds us and others in an endless cycle of bondage until it ultimately ends in death.
Tuesday's lesson quotes Micah 6:6-8, which reads, "With what shall I come before the Lord and bow down before the exalted God? Shall I come before him with burnt offerings, with calves a year old? Will the Lord be pleased with thousands of rams, with 10,000 rivers of oil? Shall I offer my firstborn for transgression, the fruit of my body for the sin of my soul? He has shown you, O mortal, what is good. And what does the Lord require of you? To act justly and to love mercy and to walk humbly with your God."
As the Old Testament and New Testament prophets point out, many have mistaken religious rituals and forms to be the substance of worship. Nothing could be further from the truth. Although today we think we are above religious forms of worship, such as offering animals to God as a substitute for righteousness, do we offer Jesus' death on the cross as a substitute for righteousness?
Well, Ellen White says we do. In the SDA Bible commentary on 1 John 3, verse 4, under the heading, "An Infamous Lie of Satan," she is quoted as follows. She said, "God did not make the infinite sacrifice of giving his only begotten Son to our world to secure for man the privilege of breaking the commandments of God in this life and in the future eternal life. This is an infamous lie originated by Satan, which must be made to appear in its false, deceitful character. This law that Satan so much desires to have regarded null and void is the great moral standard of righteousness. Any violation of it is an act of transgression against God and will be visited with the penalty of the divine law. To all the inhabitants of the world who make void the law of Jehovah and continue to live in transgression, death must surely come."
So what is justification by faith? We must understand justification by faith and how we are called to cast away all sin and to help others do the same. Justification by faith is living a sinless life through faith. Many think faith is a gift involving the ability to believe something without reason, without sufficient evidence or knowledge. This is a false definition of faith. This is what is called blind faith. Satan has fed us this seemingly pious lie as to what faith is. This definition of faith, as Satan has spun it, is pure foolishness. No one would ever apply this foolish idea to anything other than salvation and religious beliefs, which ironically is the most dangerous area to apply it. This involves our salvation. It is an area we need to have solid knowledge, the highest scholarship, and scientific evidence. Our eternal destiny is at stake, for crying out loud.
For example, we would never apply blind faith when skydiving. If someone gave you a parachute made out of paper clips and told you to have faith that it would gently take you to the ground through air resistance, I'm sure you would ask for some repeatable scientific proof that this is the case before blindly having faith in the safety of paperclip parachutes. Why wouldn't we be as cautious with our religious beliefs?
Right. The correct definition of faith is a complete trust in the truth. period. Truth is simply material reality. So, for example, in material reality, why is it immoral to drink alcohol? Well, it destroys your brain cells and ruins your liver. This causes your material brain to malfunction, causing poor judgment and reckless behavior that may hurt yourself or others, which is immoral. It destroys lives, families, and relationships. It raises the cost for health care for all of us. It is for these reasons that it is immoral. This is the truth.
This message of justification by faith, true faith based on a careful experiment, is the everlasting gospel message that must go to the world. This is the purpose of the Advent movement and mission, culminating in the loud cry as revealed in Revelation 14. In regard to experimental faith, Ellen White said, "Real experience is gained by a variety of careful experiments made with the mind free from prejudice, uncontrolled by previously established opinions and habits. The results are marked with careful solicitude and an anxious desire to learn, to improve, and to reform on every point that is not in harmony with physical and moral laws. That which many term experience is not experience at all. It has resulted from mere habit or from a course of indulgence thoughtlessly and often ignorantly followed. There has not been a fair trial by actual experiment and thorough investigation, with a knowledge of the principles involved in the action. Experience, which is opposed to natural law, which is in conflict with the unchangeable principles of nature, is not to be relied upon. Superstition arising from a diseased imagination is often arrayed in opposition to reason and to scientific principles."
Faith in the truth will put an end to false worship and an end to sin in our hearts, minds, and actions. It is the mechanism for the sealing of God, both intellectually and spiritually. The truth reveals entirely the sin we are committing and why it is not to anyone's benefit. When we understand the truth, we see the choice we can make against sin, and the truth is the motivation to make that choice.
In Friday's lesson in the discussion questions near the end, it reads, "How might you read or hear your local news reports in a different way if you saw and heard with the eyes and ears of a prophet?" In closing, we wanted to inform you that there is a prophet today who is proclaiming this very message of justification by faith, the casting away of all sin. This message will change the world. Here's how. The only way to stop world hunger, animal abuse, sex trafficking, etc., is the gospel of justification by faith. The gospel puts an end to sin. Where there is selfishness, lust, greed, and gluttony, there will always be these horrific problems. If I really want to make a difference in these areas, I must live and spread the true gospel of justification by faith, which is a sinless life, which again is the loud cry of the third angel's message of Revelation 14. If I don't stop sin in my own life and promote others to do the same, we will all destroy each other, the animals, the earth, and ourselves.
To this point, we will once again quote Ellen White from her commentary on 1 John 3:4, as we did previously. She said, "To all the inhabitants of the world who make void the law of Jehovah and continue to live in transgression, death must surely come." For a deeper study on this topic, please request a PDF copy of the study entitled The Lost Gospel of Christ by Trent Wilde. Thank you for staying with us through the entire video. We invite you to visit our website, www.bdsda.com, to learn more about who we are, and just as important, who we are not. Please join us each week as we will continue to offer new and interesting insights for your Sabbath School studies. God bless.
Many blessings.